Hello and welcome to the Brass Junkies. I am your host, Andrew Hitz, and I am joined by my co-host, Lance LaDuke. Lance, how are you?
I am so hot, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm sweating. This is disgusting. It's just like a heat wave here. I don't know.
Once our conversation starts with Deanna, you will understand that he is, as usual, being a jackass right now. But we will let you hear that in just a few minutes. So today we were joined by a dear friend of both of ours, and that is Deanna Swoboda. When did you meet Deanna?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. I mean, it has to have been 25 years ago, 20 years ago. It's hard to remember.
I know exactly when I met her. It was in 1997, and that's when I moved to Arizona. So I guess I could have met her on one of I made a couple of trips to Arizona before that were brief. So maybe I met her then, but I really, got to know her in 97. So,
yeah, that's probably right. Mid 90s is probably, I was probably in the Air Force Band and, somewhere in the mid 90s. So there you go. Holy
crazy.
Well, long enough that now she's like, as you'll hear, she's talking about projects that I was involved in that I have no recollection of, but she's sent me proof. There's like recordings that I was involved in and now I vaguely kind of remember helping like co-create this thing, but man, I couldn't remember.
And Lance has no major drug use in his past either.
That's
so
true.
And he can't remember like full recording sessions. That's that's
do
pretty
we have
funny.
time for a story related to potentially? So for Christmas, I've been cooking. I've been cooking more and more and getting really interested in, and specifically vegan cooking. And so one of the things that I needed was a spice grinder. And so I asked for a spice grinder for Christmas. And so we're on Christmas morning, and my partner and I are there, and her two kids and my son are there, and we're opening these gifts. And I opened this really nice spice grinder, and all three of the teenagers start cracking up. And we're like, what's so funny? And they're like, well, did you ask for that? And I was like, this spice grinder? And they're like, sure, it's a spice grinder. I was like, wait a minute, what? That's a pot grinder. I was like, no, this is like, that's how hip I am. And I was like, so you mean this glass vase is not, it's like, I've been using it as a plant. Is that not, and that vapor, this can't be, no. So Christmas was ruined, but not for them. They thought it was hilarious.
I was thinking Spice Grinder would be a good name for a vegan dating app.
That is a good idea. Spice Grinder. Not bad.
Well, this deteriorated quickly.
Yeah, because we started so elevated.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because we were talking. So, yeah, that's pretty funny. So, Deanna is awesome. She was a great guest, as you're going to hear. She's just a phenomenal performer and a phenomenal educator and an entrepreneur, and just a kick-ass human being. So, I think you're going to love this conversation that we had with her. And we got to thank Parker Mouthpieces and Mr. Michael F. Parker. How about that? Throwing in the F, it makes him sound super fancy.
The F stands for fun.
It does stand for fun, which is a weird thing to have on your birth certificate. But Parker is on the faculty of the ASU Eastman Music Company Tuba Euphonium Summer Workshop, which is June 23 to 25 at Arizona State, featuring Tony Niffen, Stephen Kunzer, Michael F. Parker. We should give Kunzer a middle initial. Stephen Q. Kunzer. Stephen.
Give him make it a 7 or something. Like anybody 7. Can have a letter as their middle.
Stephen Q. Kunzer the 7th.
Oh, that could work. I think instead of Michael F. Parker, we should just call him Michael F. Parker.
There you go. And yeah, all right. So and of course Deanna. So you can check out information. There's a link to that in the show notes. And we do need to thank For Parker Mouthpieces for providing our hosting. For Parker Mouthpieces offers fine, customizable component mouthpieces for horn, trombone, euphonium, and tuba, including the Andrew Hitz artist model tuba mouthpiece and the Lance LaDuke model euphonium mouthpiece. Oh, yeah. You can find out more at forparkermouthpieces.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you should probably leave the F off of that URL if you want it to work.
The F is silent.
It's a silent, and it's actually an imaginary F. So
I had an imaginary F one time, but that's a different story altogether.
Thank the Peppered people so we can get out of here, man.
Hey, Peppered people, thank you so much.
Lose our license.
The Mary Pappert School of Music at Duquesne University, the brass area in particular, is a sponsor of the show, and we couldn't be more delighted to have that be the case. Jim Fanova has made that possible. We're going on our second year. Fanoog, that's right. So if you are interested in finding out about the goings-on which are going on at Duquesne in the brass area in terms of the ensembles and the folks who teach there and the kinds of opportunities that you have, you can click on the link in the show notes. And special thanks again to Jim Fanova, who has a really cool overdub project that we need to get him back on the show because that thing is released.
Yes,
I'm looking at a Darth Vader USB drive now, which contains his overdubs, which is strange because it's all Star Trek music. But for some reason, he went with Darth Vader. So thank you to
Gandalf.
There's
a number actually on it too.
I like the Harry Potter part. Anyway, so thanks to Duquesne for being a great sponsor on the show.
There we go. So enjoy this awesome conversation.
What about our Patreon patrons?
Oh, good Lord.
iTunes? And what about?
If you want to help us, then if you want to do us a solid, then you can do a couple of things. One is you can go to patreon.com/thebrassjunkies. And actually the bonus episode, which is released in the weeks in between the episodes, which is available only through Patreon for our Patreon patrons. This one is a gem. There were 2 stories that we had with Deanna, and she was crying at one of them. So she told a story, and then I told a story. The one I told, she was crying. She was laughing so hard. So yeah, that's gold, Jerry, gold. So and you can access all of that and all of the previous bonus episodes for as little as $26 a year. It's $1 per episode. So, and we love people that are big donors, like $5 or $10 an episode. But it really means a lot when we just have somebody that's on for the $2 a month. It just means that you're a fan of the show, and that we really appreciate it. If you do not, if you don't want to support us that way, which is cool, or you're not able to, and I have been there back in the day, I totally get it. One way to really help the show is to go to iTunes, which is an abomination of a program. So I realize this is actually a big ask to open that damn thing, but to go into iTunes and to leave us a rating and a review, if you do both of those things, then that helps other people to find the podcast. And also thank you to everyone who shared it with a friend. And yeah, that's it. We were downloaded in an insane number of countries in 2017, and tens of thousands of downloads, which is awesome. So thank you so much to all of you. And I think that's going to do it. Is that right?
I believe so.
I tried to end the episode early without doing the Pray for Jens thing. I tried to end the intro early. I'm a mess. So what else is new? 2018 is going to be more of the same, folks. So, all right. Enjoy this wonderful conversation with Deanna Swoboda. Distinguished institution that is the Brass Junkies, we would like to welcome our dear friend Deanna Swoboda. Deanna, how are you doing this evening? It's not evening, it's morning. Well, it's what time is it where you are?
It's too early to even know. I did have a cup of coffee though this morning. It's a little after 7 a.m. where the sun's coming up.
Actually, there were a number of times in Arizona when 7 a.m. was still evening for me. So,
right?
That was kind of that.
It's all about perspective, really.
Exactly. That's what I was referencing. So, we were just reminiscing, the three of us, about some old war stories that made all of us uncomfortable. So that's always a good way to, get things moving, especially at 7 a.m.
Be a dangerous one because we've known each other for more than a little while.
Forever, yeah.
Yeah, a very long time.
Amazing, yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know who Deanna is the tuba and euphonium professor at Arizona State University. She is a phenomenal player. She is an entrepreneur. She has put up with Lance and my crap for years and always been gracious about it. She's an incredible woman, and we are really happy to have her on the show. So thank you for joining us,
Andrew and Lance. It's my pleasure and an honor to join you guys. Thank you.
I appreciate being singled out or added to the list.
Andrew and Lance. Lance. We might as well do this while Deanna is on the line because this is funny. We could save it for the intro, but so Lance, can you please describe your current situation because this is pretty funny.
Well, this is the first recording session of the new year 2018, and it's effing cold. And I live in Pittsburgh, which usually does not get this cold. It's, we moved to Pittsburgh for the weather largely, and I'm in my basement in it looks like a war room of sorts or a place you would store canned goods. There's no heating, and I have a space heater to deal with that problem. However, our pipes froze last night, and so for some reason people want to take showers, and so my space heater has been redeployed. So I am, as we speak, sitting. I should take a picture. I have I have socks and pajamas, of course, because it is 9. So I'm a man of leisure, and my slippers and a blanket over my lap like a 94-year-old woman. And I have a shirt, a long sleeve shirt, and a jacket over that. I have one of those neck warmer things around my neck, and over my headphones, I have maybe permanently damaged this hat that I have stretched to capacity to get both over my head and the headphones. So my nose is running, my toes are cold, my fingers are cold, my butt is cold. I'll keep you updated as the podcast progresses.
Thank you.
I might just start lighting things on fire.
The wind chill here, I live in the Confederacy, and the wind chill's below 0 right now. That's like, and the sun is out. Yeah, it's not really. My hair froze on the top of my head walking my dog, who also took her sweet time choosing where to place her poop, which was really, yep.
Well, of course.
Well, see, imagine we have a dachshund, and that dachshund is very low to the ground. And she did not want to do the other thing that she needed to do. And we knew we had olfactory evidence that she needed to do this other thing all day yesterday. And she refused and refused and refused. And then finally I looked at her and I was like, well, right now is the time. And so we went out there. I'm like, we're not going in until we die or you do this. And she wandered around and picked up like 1 foot gingerly at a time. And finally, the deed was done, and there was much celebration. They canceled school here yesterday, which they almost never do because it's a walking community. The wind chill was like -20, which we're hardy folks here in Western Pennsylvania, but that's a bit much for me.
Oh, that's why
Andrew, you remember first time I went to Alaska, we landed at the airport, and our host picked us up, and they said, "Oh, you guys are in luck. It warmed up." And we're like, "Fantastic. What's the temperature?" 0.
Yeah. I do remember
in the -20s for like a couple of weeks, and it was all the way up to 0, and people were out in their shorts, like driving around going to get Subway.
I remember a certain member of our group who was born in Costa Rica was not super happy with that. So yeah, like extra super not happy about that. So. Well, Deanna, thank you for joining us.
Yes, my pleasure.
We lost her. She dozed off.
No.
Halfway through the story about your dog refusing to take a crap, or it was halfway through the story about my dog taking a crap. So, so you live, obviously, well, it would be hard to not live in Arizona if you teach at Arizona State. It's kind of semi in the middle of the state. What temperature is it there?
Well, our cold front right now is a 72.5 for today. I know, it's been 75, so the cold front has moved through. But that's why we live there, That's why we.
I never liked you very much, just to be honest.
Most of my guests that I invite to Arizona, I've invited during the summer, and it's really not a good idea because people think that is what Arizona is like all the time. You live in hell because it's 120 degrees or whatever. And this really is our beautiful, beautiful time of year. It's why we live here.
There you go.
It's great.
Well, I kind of am hating my life right now. How about you, Lance?
No, I'm numb.
I like how you said you have a blanket in your lap like a 94-year-old woman, because there really aren't too many 94-year-old men because we're all dead by then.
Oh yeah, if I make 60, that'll be a trick.
So Deanna, how long have you been at Arizona State?
This is my 6th year at Arizona State University, and
no kidding.
Time flies. Really amazing. And I actually moved here from Michigan. I was teaching at Western Michigan University before, and so I know that weather very well. And when we left Michigan, we propped our snow shovel in the front of our garage so that we could look in our rearview mirror and drive away and see the show shovel in the rearview mirror.
Power move.
You said show shovel.
Show snow. Oh wait, it's early. I need
show shovel.
I need another coffee, please.
You've been drinking. You were like, if I got to spend an hour with these asshats,
guys,
I'm gonna have a little.
Snovel.
Little Twin Peaks action going there. I like it. So how big is your studio at ASU?
We are currently, I have 13 students. And, when I
first... I thought you meant the dimensions. It's about 12 by 16.
Yeah, right. 13 students, and they are great people doing great things. And
every one of them can't be a great person, Deanna. There's just math issues there. They can't all be great.
It's weird. They are. It's really weird. They are all good people.
We will get her to name names on the bonus episode for the Patreon.
Right. Tell us.
So what's the breakdown between tubas and youths and undergrad and grad?
It's about half and half tubas and half euphoniums, and I have 6 grad students right now, and the rest undergrads, and a mix of music education, music performance, music therapy. It's a nice mix of people. It's good. So I teach tuba and euphonium and coach chamber music, and a couple of classes in entrepreneurship that I designed. Music, an enterprising musician course, and a course in music product creation and development.
Oh, that's cool.
So it keeps it interesting, a lot of fun.
Wow. Tell me about that second course. The first one sounds interesting too, but that second one sounds fascinating.
Music product creation and development. It's a follow-up course to the enterprising musician. And so students who have a strong idea for a project that they want to do, from like making a CD recording or creating an event in the community, to I had a student recently who she was a bass player in a heavy metal band who wanted to design her website and really promote her band. It's really fun and varied, and it's not just music students. I get a lot of arts and design students as well who have an interest in music, so they bring a whole new perspective to that class. It's really fun, a lot of fun.
That's pretty good. So what percentage of the School of Music is kind of awake to the need for these classes?
These classes actually are built into the Arts Entrepreneur Certificate, which is really nice. So that kind of drives it. But I would say and I teach each of these one semester, like one in the fall, one in the spring. And I typically have about 25 students in each class. And
that's pretty good.
I'm pushing right now to one of my priorities is to make this a course that all performance majors, at least performance majors, have to take during their time at ASU.
It's a no-brainer
because it's about valuable things, thinking like an entrepreneur and make your own thing happen.
How many years have you been teaching these courses?
5 years.
And so have you noticed any difference in the kinds of ideas that the students are coming up with or the attitudes of the students over the last 5 years?
Oh, yeah. It's really awesome to see the evolution and the change. And I think, well, in terms of students are thinking bigger and they're thinking bigger, but they're also thinking more civic responsibility and community. I really, really love that. It's
crazy. This generation is I've noticed the exact same thing at CMU. They all want to come in to save the world.
It's cool.
For their little corner of it. Yeah, it's really fun.
It's saving.
That's because it needs saving. Thank God there's somebody out there to save us. Yeah. And I part of the job too that I love is being, I don't know that many people would say this, but I enjoy my committee work.
You are drunk.
It's kind of weird. I know, it's crazy.
I was joking before.
But now you know.
There's help, Deanna. There's help.
Right. I say that because I've had the opportunity to serve on two committees recently to design new programs. And one is a program in creative enterprise and cultural leadership. It's a master's. And that is it's an interesting, part of our conversations were like, okay, so what kind of jobs can people get if they get this degree? I mean, that's like, we ask that about our performance degrees too, but this degree is, it helps students understand the economic, the legal, the political, social context that surrounds innovation and enterprise. And as artists, it empowers them to go into the community and help be a catalyst for change. And it's just super cool. And the other degree program that we just are putting into place is a Bachelor of Arts in Popular Music. And I'm really excited for that because at some point we'll have that crossover of the classical musicians interacting with the popular musicians. Crazy. And new things coming out of that. Can I just talk for a minute?
Well, that's kind of why we are on the line with you. So
okay.
Sure.
Be sweet if we said no and then hung up. What about our day?
Yeah, right. No, see,
shut down the whole podcast.
Something that I think about a lot, and I've been thinking about for the past few years. Well, I think really since I've been at ASU in particular, because of the environment of creativity, innovation, how they talk about the university. But it really makes me think a lot about how we who teach in schools of the arts and schools of music across the country, we're so steeped in tradition. And how do we make changes? Making changes is like moving a glacier.
It's like blasphemy.
And it's blasphemy. And one of the things I really love about ASU and where I currently am is that I think change is happening. slow, albeit, but it's happening, and it's really fun to be part of the change, and to be in a position to really, help make change happen. So it's exciting. I love my job. I love it.
You must have, this is sort of like a kiss up question opportunity for you, but you must have a supportive boss.
Oh, yes. Yeah. My administration is awesome. The director of the School of Music and the dean in the Herberger Institute of Design and Arts, just awesome. They're thought leaders. They're big thinkers. They bring people together. They give you, as a faculty member, it's empowering. It feels empowering. So we are very lucky at this point in time, I think, to be where we are and to have the resources.
I remember we saw you. I think the last time I saw you was at that College Music Society thing.
Yeah,
a couple of springs ago, and there were like half a dozen of ASU faculty there, and I was struck with. I mean, I don't know you. From the outside looking in, it looked like you were a happy bunch, like you were getting along and were having these cool little powwows and meals to talk about the stuff that happened during the day. And that doesn't always happen. It was kind of a refreshing thing to see there. So that's cool to be a part of that change.
It really is. So, it really is. Yeah.
What do you tell parents who ask the question, what are the opportunities for my kid? Like, is my kid wasting their time and money to come study the tuba?
I think anyone who goes to college is doing the right thing in terms of expanding your knowledge. I really believe that college is it's not just about the degree you're going to get and the job you're going to get. That's part of it, but it's really about growth as a person, and I don't know, the knowledge that you're going to acquire while you're in college. It's really a time of growing, I think. There used to be, in so many other countries, there's a time when the 2-year period, let's say that students have to serve their community or go into the military. I think college takes that place where it allows a young individual to grow and expand their horizons. And choosing music, I'm still a believer. I do question this. I do question this in my mind. Is it, can we actually say that it's okay to get a performance degree? What are you going to do with it when you finish? Well, it is okay if that is totally what you are driven to do. Combined, your talent, your work ethic, if you've got a support system, but it has to be that combination of things for someone to succeed with a performance degree. And then it's not even a given that you're going to succeed, because there are a lot of other things that go into that. But absolutely, it's a time of growth and experimenting and figuring out what life is about.
So when you face, I'm going to ask you only difficult questions. When you face pushback from, just say, traditionalists who say the best way to do this is the way we've been doing it and it's worked for 125 years. So why do we need to change this? How do you navigate those waters with somebody like that?
Well, in my recent experience, these past couple of years working on new programs and such, I surround myself with the people who are on board and who are excited in the same way, and have continuous and frequent conversations with the people who are not on board. It's okay that they're not on board. They can still do what they're doing and be have their perspective of what the institution should be, and that's okay. That's okay, because they're going to continue doing what they do, and eventually these changes will affect that position, but that might be down the road, and it might not directly affect them. So
right.
I think, it's the conversations, the nurturing, the trying to help them see that these are the right decisions and the right directions to go. But it doesn't mean that everybody has to be on board. Right. I've always been a believer of surrounding myself with people, well, except you guys, people who...
Wait, I don't get it.
Wait. No. Surrounding myself with people who are doers and positive and moving in similar directions.
Well, Lance,
actually, honestly, that's why we are friends, and we have worked together and done great things together. I only say that in jest. You guys are amazing.
Do you think she thinks she's really offended us?
It is possible to offend us, but you're not even scratching that. No.
Not even. Okay, good.
They're doers. In fact, they're twice doers. They're doers.
Like your dog, reluctantly.
Let me get my Schuss novel, and I will be right back.
Lance alluded to this earlier. The only person or people that you have to have on board in an academic institution is the leadership. Because if I've had some conversations about moving things forward with some former bosses, and it was like I was like speaking to their desk, and they weren't even there. I mean, it's just like, and not maliciously, but it was just like it was going absolutely nowhere. And so I like your attitude, though, of that you don't have to have everyone on the entire faculty on board. There's probably not a single faculty in the world that can agree 100% on anything. So, if you use that litmus test, even in your mind, then that's just an excuse to not do the work to try and make things better. Because there's always going to be a woman or a man who is not going to be on board at all with what you're doing. But yeah, I guess the whole point of moving things forward is not approval. It's trying to improve things. And when you do it right and in a thoughtful way, then the approval comes over time. So whether that's when that person is replaced eventually, when they retire, usually those people retire when they're about 84 years old. But yeah, it's it's so important to keep moving things forward and to have people in positions. It's great when someone like you, who has the resume, which we're about to get to, because you've had a really incredible playing career as well, and continue to. I don't know why I put that in the past tense. It's like, Deanna, you were a great player. But somebody like you who can back it up, and who also can teach the hell out of actually playing the instrument, but then who has the passion for all of this stuff and for creating your own opportunities and maximizing your potential commercially and all of that. They're lucky to have you. In spite of you making fun of us, I'm going to continue to say nice things to you. I'm just going to. This kids is called the high road. So
that sounded really sincere. I was really shocked by that.
So Deanna also used to be in a professional brass quintet. It turns out. So why don't you tell us about that former chapter of your life?
Yes, I was a member of the Dallas Brass for 5 years. And actually, it was there are so many things that you can say about that time. It was life-changing in many ways. First and foremost, it was a really great professional experience, learning how to be professional in all situations. So taking, setting the music aside, doing a job like that with a group of people touring and living on the road, for anyone who has done that, like both of you. There's a lot that I learned about life and working with people, learning how to work with people, and which I appreciate very much, and has helped me. It has served me in everything, in all of my university work in particular. That was democratic.
Lance, could you hear her body language change? Like we're not.
Oh man,
this is not video chatting,
awesome.
but I could hear she sat up. She was like, "I can do this."
No. Honestly, truthfully, it was a great experience. I worked with great people and
Dan Hostetler.
Yeah, Dan Hostetler.
That's a bummer because he didn't listen to this, so he won't even get that.
We'll send him this and call it the Drum Junkies and tell him to listen, and then he'll be like, "Oh, those guys."
That's right. Dan was a longtime drummer for the Dallas branch, and a dear friend. Used to play with the
and
Boston Brass
recorded
at the
with
holidays.
us, and yeah, he's a good human.
Yep.
He is a good human.
Well, you lasted a little longer than I did. I lasted 8 months. So you actually a little less than 8 months.
Right,
yeah,
right.
actually more like 7 months. So yeah, you had an impressive run. So you should have asked Lance and I, because Lance and I are experts at coexisting with humans on the road, actually. So we're
Never had an issue.
I've been endorsed
Never
for
had an
that
issue.
on LinkedIn thousands of times. So yeah.
Yeah, right.
All right, here's a more of a softball. So you had the experience of being in a full-time professional brass quintet, and then you had the experience of being in a faculty quintet at Western Michigan with some dear friends of ours as well. So what was the difference between those two groups? I don't mean personality-wise. I just mean the reason for existence for those two.
Right.
It's the same instrumentation. You're playing sometimes in the same music, but what's the dynamic? I mean, how are those two
Scott Thornburg
beasts
is a
different?
total pain in the ass to work with. So that's the
Yeah,
that's the main
I was
difference.
going to say that.
Now we can see if Scott listens. Yeah. So
Awesome. Yeah, right. I love
too.
that guy. Oh my gosh. Amazing. Just well, the difference, art versus entertainment, or entertainment versus art. And it was actually very shocking for me to make that transition. In one regard, it was really fun and exciting because the level of musicianship was really intense in the Western Brass Quintet. And I say musicianship, but also the genre of music that that ensemble plays and performs. And it was shocking to come from Broadway style show of entertainment and into a sit down quintet that only plays the music of Jan Bach and Etler and, the great the great quintet repertoire, but hard as heck quintet repertoire. And I struggled for a while with that, because there is a part of me that is very entertainment driven too. And it really, to come from a point where it's just sit down in a box and play and not care what your audience thinks about the music that you're playing. It was really difficult for me, honestly. However, I did learn. I learned a lot during that time too, musically, and then how to take that. I mean, well, I have to say, Scott Thornburg, he is one of the great entertainers as well. He's like the golden tongue of the brass quintet. He's a great storyteller and educator as well, and I think he was a real key factor in bridging the gap between audience and that the contemporary repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
But great experience. Both were great experiences. And then for me, I had to figure out where that middle ground was of art and entertainment. High art and entertainment.
We a quick story about Scott Thornburg, who's a trumpet professor at Western Michigan, and this is a great lesson in terms of always be ready. We had actually, speaking of Alaska, this was the group's second trip to Alaska. Lance was not in the band yet. Actually, I remember the reason I know that for sure is because I remember a meltdown from his predecessor on this trip with Scott right there. That was cool. Anywho, we JD ended up having an emergency come up, and he could not get on the plane to Alaska. This was like the day that we were flying up there from Quad Cities, and we were trying to find somebody who could play that book, which is really not easy. And anyway, the idea came that Scott Thornburg could fill in, because we thought of a couple of horn players. None of them could do it. None of them were available. And Scott ended up playing the gig on flugelhorn for us. So first of all, he was able to just take all of those crazy horn parts, and he was like, "Yep, I'll bring my flugel. We're done." But he was literally in his front yard mowing his lawn when he got the phone call. And he was 1 hour later, he was checking in at the airport to fly to Alaska to play at the Juneau Jazz and Classics Festival. So, you never know when that phone call. And that was the first time he played with us, and it ended up happening again as well sometime a little later. It might have been when JD's first kid was born. But yeah, he did such an amazing job that it happened again. And then he also worked with us at some of the Kenton Christmas big band stuff. And so I'll always be ready.
Yeah, right. I remember I remember Dan Parentoni saying that to me one time of when the phone rings, that's old school. When the phone rings, are you ready? Are you ready to do whatever? Can you say yes? Are you ready to do whatever is asked of you? And which means it means a lot of things. Are you ready as a player? Are you ready? Are you at a place in your life where you can say yes? Are you flexible in terms of styles or what is being asked of you? And I think you always want to be able to say yes, no matter what, and then figure it out. That's part of it too.
Yeah. I wouldn't have a career if I didn't have that approach.
Ditto.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly. It's a much better approach than just hoping to win the lottery on a major audition. So, although Lance won the Air Force audition like when he was really young, so it can't be really that hard. But it
got more difficult.
Yeah,
they made it more stringent after I got in. Wait.
That was back when there weren't like 120 euphonium players getting doctorates in euphonium performance every year too. So it was, anyway. So Deanna, let's talk about Deanna's Wonderland.
Oh, that was a fun project. That was a very fun project. That was my first CD. And I had designed a program called Brass Rap that kind of morphed into Band Blast Off, a band recruitment
Wasn't my
program.
fellow Knucklehead involved in that? Isn't that the thing that Lance did?
Actually, Lance and I worked on Tuba Tech's How the West Was Fun.
No. Yeah. Right.
That was the follow-up to Deanna's Wonderland.
There you go.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah. No. Deanna's Wonderland was my first CD, and it had a theme of all the music on the CD has a theme of animals, and I wrote some of the music and then drew from traditional tuba repertoire for other music like Elegy for a Whale by Alec Wilder, Raymond LaDuke's Wonderland duets, and then that was also paired with educational material for teachers to use in the classroom with their students. So, in trying to make the tuba a more familiar voice for kids and learn something about music along the way. And then Tuba Techs, How the West Was Fun. That was a project with Lance. That was my, and thank you, Lance. You know what, though? It's so sad that it still lives in an archive because that was my my doctoral. It's not a right? Yeah, my doctoral project, which got me the degree. Thank you. I have pedigree because of you,
man. When your credentials rest on Lance showing up, that's yeah.
I had sort of forgotten about that. You glossed over the band blast off. I'm dragging you back through it here in a minute, but catch me up. Help me remember the How the West Was Fun thing. Did I sing like? What was involved?
Wait a minute, Lance singing got you the title of doctor.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I can't even. I remember, and we were trying to get Clark, the engineer. Weren't we trying to get him to play guitar or something? Oh, he did, but he wouldn't let us be in the studio while he did it. Like he wasn't allowed anybody. No one was allowed
72
to watch
degrees outside. Go stand in the driveway.
Like we were gonna steal. Yeah. Next to the show snubble.
Yeah, right.
That's called callback.
Thank you.
So what in the world did I do? Do you remember? Like I completely like periodically people say, "Hey, you remember when you?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah, I know. We did like Happy Trails.
Oh, okay. It was like, yeah, okay. Was there narration?
Oh, Susanna.
Or just songs? We got it. Why isn't this out? This needs to be a thing.
Well, it's not out because
the statute of limitations is not up. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I know. Well, Clark Rigsby wants to make it better, but then that takes time. So, all
right, fair enough.
I don't know.
We'll start a petition.
It really should be. I'd love to revisit it. And, if we did talk about turning it into a cartoon short.
Sounds vaguely.
Should we start it?
Like that. Yeah.
All right. So brass rap.
Brass rap.
The brass rap.
I keep the beat. Sorry, it's one of those things that's deeply ingrained in my brain.
Before you say that, when we were down where I don't even remember where the heck this happened, where you had an entrepreneurship class that I was that was the last. Oh, it was at the Tennessee. Yes, and she had a panel discussion and very nicely asked me, and somebody asked about brass rap, and then in the middle of it, we hadn't talked about this at all, and Deanna, somebody asked her to rap, and then she just turned and said, "Hitz, give me a beat," and I went, "Oh." Lost. It was like 1 second later you were rapping over my beatboxing, and it was hilarious. The place was like there were a bunch of people like totally expected it out of us, but then there was like half of the people who were kind of younger were like, what is happening? That was my favorite part of that conference. Right. So anyway, so tell us about brass rap. It's awesome.
Thank you. Brass rap started when I was an undergraduate at University of Idaho. I was in a brass quartet. We were invited to perform a 1-week residency in Montana for elementary schools. So we put together a program that involved some rap and some costumes and some fun music. And after that week, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to have a one-woman show that traveled and performed for kids and turned them on to participating into the band. playing a band instrument. And so I came up with the idea of a one-woman show and called it Brass Rap. And it included, it was a 30-minute assembly program. If you remember, like, I don't know if you guys had, when you were in kindergarten or first grade, the musicians came to the school and performed, and that's what this program was designed as, an assembly program for elementary students. And it included science and history of brass instruments and in costume. And then I rapped about all of the instruments. And the program, I introduced, I traveled with Sam Palafian to Wisconsin. That guy. I traveled to Wisconsin to the Getson factory to test tubas. Sam and Warren Deck were testing tubas. Sam invited me to come along, and during that time at the Getson factory, Sam said, "Hey, this would be a great time to introduce your program to the folks at Getson, because it's music education, and this could really be something that they would like, and they might want to use as a recruiting tool for all of their music stores." And so that was where I introduced Brass Rap.
Sorry, my dog. Can you hear my dog that gets to poop 72.5-degree weather.
Yeah, right.
Poor
exactly.
thing.
It's too hot out to poop.
I hate your dog.
Don't make. No, funny. Getson. So and actually that's the first time I met Gerhard Meinl as well. Gerhard Meinl was at Getson because he was partnering. They were partnering with the design of that tuba, so there was a moment where I broke out in rap. And I think Sam was my beatbox.
I'm glad
time.
I didn't know that ahead of time. I would have gotten nervous filling those shoes. So,
right. And Getson was really, they were excited about it. They were interested, and I became a Getson artist. Actually, that day, they asked if I would like to play their tubas and if I would be interested in if they could help promote the Brass Rap program through their Getson, what was it called? The Getson Gazette newsletter. And that was the beginning of a career rapping for the next 10 years. It's really crazy. I mean, that I remember, this is before the internet, and getting the newsletter in the mail, and it had a whole, write-up about the program. And the next week, I had like 25 phone calls, people around the country asking if I would come
really
to their
blew
school.
Up, I remember.
And then it was a connection. It did. It really did. Really interesting, and that's the kind of the entrepreneurial spirit of kind of, being in the right place at the right time, doing something, finding your niche, doing something.
That's the important part, is that you weren't just a brass quintet who was going to do the same like hose funnel presentation, which there's nothing wrong with that. But when everybody else is doing that, they're either probably going to hire the other person or other people because of the math issue, or you're not going to be able to charge very much. But there were no people who were rapping about science and instruments and using that as recruiting. And some people, I bet, heard that and said, that's stupid. I would never pay money to bring that to my school. And a whole bunch of people said, holy crap, I'm calling right now. So, and that's the key, is that, it was,
exactly,
it was so different that I bet you demanded an opinion on the spot of everybody who read that. And that's the key.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It really is. Finding your niche and then figuring out how to sell it. That's
what did
the
you
other
learn
key,
from selling that?
The marketing and
Yeah, in terms of like how you sell it change over time?
Well, actually, this is I'm happy that you asked that, because it's something I talked about recently, like a month ago. One of the first things I did was create a brochure, because again, this is before internet. How do you sell things? You've got to get the message out to your public. And I created a brochure, and I have 3 permutations of brochures that I reinvented every year, coming out with a new brochure. But the brochure, and and this is true for how we now sell ourselves online on our websites and social media, etc. That you speak about what it is that you do, what you're currently doing, and what you're currently offering. It's also important to put out there what it is that you want to be doing, and how to package that, so that this comes back to when the phone rings and someone asks if, like, for instance, one of the things that I really wanted to be doing in combination with brass rap is I wanted to be doing clinics at universities, and I wanted to be playing solos with orchestras and bands. So that was one of the things that I included that I could do. I had not done that yet, but putting it out there that is what I do. And that first phone call comes, we'd like for you to do this. Can you do this? And you say yes. And that's that first, you have to have that first piece that launches you into that new area that you want to be involved with, So it's how you sell the current product, but it's always looking ahead too, and knowing what you want to do next, and creating the perception that you're doing that thing, and that thing comes to fruition. So I think that was one of the big things that I learned in terms of.
I'd love to have you on the Entrepreneurial Musician if you would be up for it. Yeah. Yeah, you've been on my list for a while. I just haven't followed through on the invite. So let's remedy that sometime soon.
Great. Oh, thanks.
So then, how did I can't remember who funded the DVD. That came about. You were in the quintet, that came about, right? At that point,
I was in Dallas Brass. Yeah, I was in Dallas Brass, and we initiated a partnership with Accent Instruments.
That's right.
And that it came out of that. So I was playing an Accent tuba. That was the reason that, and this all comes back to just thinking about the entrepreneurial mindset and entrepreneurship of, it's really about surrounding yourself with the kind of people that are positive and make a positive difference in your life. And at that time, the people who were involved with Accent were all of the music stores that I was working with brass rap. Because at that time, I was touring with Dallas Brass about, I think it was a busy time. It was like 175 days a year. I was touring with brass rap about 100 days a year, or 100. It was a lot. There was a point where I got rid of my apartment for 2 years. I just put everything in storage. I slept on. Did I sleep on your guys' couch? I don't remember. I slept on everybody's couch. I was a gypsy, man. I was a gypsy. So Accent got involved with Dallas Brass. I was involved. I had done a lot of brass rap programs for those music stores that were also involved with the Accent instrument, and they funded that video.
Right. I end up going to American Band College. It's happened at any kind of band director conference. I'll end up walking around doing whatever, and somebody will come up to me and say, "Hey, you're that guy." I break out my spectacular dancing skills. We use that thing every year, and I get a couple of checks a year, and it's a nice residual that shows up. I'm like, oh, that's right, I forgot. So that thing's got legs. I mean, how many years ago was that?
Oh man, a lot of years ago.
It
has to be at least
it was a long time ago.
15.
There you go.
12, 15.
So we are. That's amazing. Yeah.
We're just about out of time here. I want to ask you two more things, but first, I wanted to say what you were just talking about in terms of surrounding yourself with positive people who are looking to move things forward. There is a fantastic book by Jim Collins, which is called Good to Great. And one of the main premises of his book, and this is really important to anybody who's looking to form a brass quintet or a trumpet quartet. Why would you do that? But if you were doing that, or any band at all, and yes, thank you.
Target of opportunity.
You for the military jargon there, LaDuke. His whole premise is that in general, we put people on the bus because of what they do. And so it's like, okay, I have a friend who plays trumpet, I have a friend who plays trombone, a horn, and a tuba, so we need another trumpet, and Susie plays trumpet, so let's put her on the bus. And then if you put someone or everyone on the bus because of what they do, that's directly related to where you're going. So if the bus changes course at all, either a little bit or a lot, then that person's either no longer going to be a good fit, or they're going to be resentful that the bus isn't going where you said it was going to go. But what he says is that if you put people on the bus because they are the right people, and then you figure out where that bus is going, then everyone is happy that they're on the bus, no matter what direction the bus is going in. And I think that's so important, that you don't just hire a woman because she fills this gap in what your needs are, because you can always outsource whatever that other thing is to someone else. You can throw money at any problem, just about any problem, and make it go away. And so it sounds like you've done that. Well, it doesn't sound like, I know that you've done that throughout your career, is putting the right people on the bus, and then you're happy to be on the bus, they're happy to be on the bus, and it doesn't even really matter where the bus is going. So that's a good lesson for all the youngsters, and those of us who are not youngsters, who are constantly starting new projects because we can't help ourselves. So tell us briefly, you play Eastman tubas. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited about the new line of tubas that Eastman is making. And this, again, this was a relationship decision, because I had met and spent time with the Eastman family, and I say family, the industry people, 20 years ago when I was doing brass rap, because they were kind of associated. Eastman and Accent were sort of happening at the same time. And when I learned about the new tuba product recently, I was really excited about it. And I've followed them over the past 2 years in the development of their new tubas, and they're sensational. They're just amazing, and they keep getting better and better. And I decided it was a team that I wanted to be part of. So very excited. I'm now playing their tubas, and we're planning a workshop actually this summer at Arizona State University, the Eastman Music Company Tuba Euphonium Workshop, and our faculty includes Tony Niffen of the Indianapolis Symphony, Michael Parker. Great mouthpiece maker.
He's a sponsor of the show, as you know, since you've listened to all 75 episodes. Yep. So.
Oh yeah. Right. So we're looking forward to that. It's a 3-day workshop with a focus on chamber music.
I stepped on Stephen Kunzer, who you said is also on the faculty. So yeah, I don't want to get an angry email from him. So yeah. Yeah, that's a really great faculty. Yeah. Yep. And the dates of that are June 23rd to 25th. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
We'll stick a link to the
for $20 you can get a linen
shack. Oh, cool! Thank you. Great.
Yeah. I don't think you get to keep it. If so, it's a really good deal. Nice. But I think you have to,
you got to give it back.
Oh goodness! And actually, the tuition for this is only $225, which getting 2 full days of getting to work with that faculty, that's unbelievable. I mean, that's like the cost of 2 lessons with famous people, and you get to actually that's probably less than 2 lessons with famous people, and that gets you to 3. My math is bad. That gives you 3 full days with all. Yeah, with all 5 of them. I almost said 4. No, it is 4. With all 4 of them, I can't count. It's so cold. It's so cold in Lance's basement that I can't count. So
that's right. Hey, for the record, I can see my breath. That occurred to me halfway through this podcast. I was like, "No,
that means you're not dead." That's good.
That's true. Good point. I'm breathing on a mirror.
Deanna, we are going to have you hang on to do a few more minutes with us for our bonus episode for our Patreon patrons only. If you want to check that out, you can go to patreon.com/thebrassjunkies, and for as little as $2 a month, and you can access all of the back bonus episodes. But Deanna, this has been awesome. I love that we went deep on teaching, on performing, on entrepreneurship, on everything. So thank you so much for your time. Yes.
But Andrew,
holy crap! We almost forgot that would have led to some emails. We love emails except for the angry ones. Well, we like those too. Good Lord, I can't believe I almost forgot that. So let's pretend I didn't forget that. So Deanna, I'm sure that you are. I'm sure that you're aware of our dear friend Jens Lindemann and the job problems that he's been going through out there in Los Angeles. And so I'm wondering if you might have any encouragement or discouragement or advice for Jens in his desperate time of need.
Yeah, poor guy. Jens, just give it up. Just give it up, and surround yourself with really bad
people. He needs it. I think he needs to just pull the bus over to the side of the road. Like, yeah, let everyone off the bus.
Pull the bus over.
And then find the nearest ditch.
Yeah, there you go. So
take a seat on the back of the bus.
Lance, thank you for being on top of things for once. That's great. That was awesome. Lance, it really is an honor to work with you.
Can do.
So
I checked.
Yeah, it's. All right. That's going to do it until the bonus episode, which Deanna, hang on for that. And thank you so much for your time this morning. And that will do it for another episode of The Brass Junkies. You've been listening to The Brass Junkies on the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network. If you would like to help support the podcast in order to make more episodes like this one possible, please visit pedalnotemedia.com/donate for more details. Also, be sure to check out our latest recording, The Brass Recording Project, at brassrecordingproject.com. The Brass Junkies is produced by Will Houchin. Executive producers are Andrew Hitz and Lance LaDuke. This has been a presentation of the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network.